Welcome back from the break. You're watching Newsx and I'm Savri Jindal. The Boycott Turkey chorus is growing in India. Small traders, customers, online retailers and renowned universities have joined this movement that began online. This movement commenced after Turkish President Erdogan openly backed Pakistan and condemned India's Operation Sindoor. That's not all. Erdogan went a step ahead and supplied drones to Islamabad that were used to target civilians across Indian cities. Now, several commercial relationships are severed with Turkey and travel bookings reducing considerably. All this is touted dent of $8.04 billion in bilateral trade. Joining us at this point of time is a special guest. We have with us Mr. Sanjay Bhattacharya, former Indian ambassador to Turkey. Sir, thank you so much for speaking to us on Newsx. My first question to you: why does Turkey continue to back Pakistan unconditionally?
Well, Pakistan and Turkey have a very old partnership, and Turkey has been supportive of Pakistan, has very friendly relations with it for many decades. But I think what we have seen in recent years is that Pakistan has had almost unequivocal support of Turkey, and I suppose that is largely because Turkey sees Pakistan serving certain interests of Turkey herself.
Right, absolutely. Now, how do you see developments like celebrity suspension from airports and tourists cancelling vacations to Turkey? Will it hurt the Turkish economy?
Well, I think the Turkish economy is fairly large. It's a G20 partner of India, and it has a very extensive economy. It has a very large tourism sector. And of course, while it values Indian tourists, I think, if Indian tourists were to cancel, there would be some impact on its economy, but it would not be significant. But I do think that it would probably send a more powerful sentimental message rather than an economic message that the Indians are unhappy.
All right, absolutely. Now, what further damage do you think India can cause to Turkey to drive home a point that you can't support terror and expect business with us?
I don't think it is a very straightforward response, unfortunately. India and Turkey have very deep ties, in fact. We are both members of G20. We have very extensive economic partnership. Our trade bilateral is over $10 billion. Our two-way investments are of the range of about $480 million. Most of our large companies are present in Turkey, and Turkish companies are very heavily invested in key infrastructure projects. We do several things on the technology front and are linked up in supply chains. So it's not a simple relationship. I think it's a very deep-rooted relationship. Within this very large economic cooperation, we have differences on certain political issues. And Turkey's support to Pakistan, we understand that Turkey wishes to support Pakistan, and that is its right to do so, though we do not like it and we consider it not a very friendly act. But we will have to deal with that separately. And I think the way to deal with that is to make sure that our diplomatic effort to blunt Turkey's statements that have come out and to blunt the defense initiatives and cooperation that Turkey and Pakistan have through our defense preparedness. And I think that's the way to go ahead. Of course, in addition to that, we will have to launch a very strong diplomatic initiative to make sure that Turkish pronouncements do not carry weight to other parts of the world. And we've seen that Turkey is rather isolated in these statements. There are very few who support it, perhaps with the exception of Azerbaijan. No other country has come up with statements like Turkey has. So I don't think the question is really one of trying to do damage, but it's really a question of negotiating such that we have a better leverage on Turkey's relations with India. We don't look at this through the perspective or the lens of Pakistan. We've never conducted foreign policy through the lens of.
Okay, all right. Follow-up question then. Do you think it's time for India to snap ties with Turkey? And if we do that, what do you think will the bilateral damage be and the collateral damage, I beg your pardon, be?
I don't think we should at all think of snapping ties with Turkey. Turkey is a very important partner for India. Let us not forget our primary objective as India is to become a major economic and global power, and we are well on path to it. And I think our endeavor will be to make Turkey a partner in that process of ours. And I think over a period of time, Turkey will understand the logic of that.
All right, absolutely. Now, do you think India should support Kurdish parties in response to Turkey supporting Pakistan and its terror?
We have always believed in diplomacy as the way forward for differences that we have. As I had mentioned earlier, we have strong economic complementarity between India and Turkey, but we do have certain differences on certain issues. I think negotiation with Turkey directly on some of those and to reduce the impact of whatever Turkish pronouncements are is the way ahead. I would also wish to remind you that Turkey has recently reached agreement with some of the Kurdish forces. The PKK has started the process of disbanding itself, and the Kurdish situation might probably look a little different, both within and outside Turkey in the days.
Right, so absolutely my last question to you. Do you think this unwavering support to Pakistan against India is just Erdogan doing, or it reflects the sentiments of all Turkish people? What's your assessment?
Well, let me first say that while Turkey has had a more favorable relationship with Pakistan over India for several decades, it has also followed in the past a more balanced approach and an independent perspective on India. I think the problem that happened was that in the Erdogan period, Turkey started looking at India through the lens of Pakistan. And of course, that's not the same mistake that we wish to make in our relations with Turkey. So I think you're right. There is a certain Erdogan element in this particular problem that Turkey has done for itself. I think this is a Turkish problem, and they will need to get out of this. And I think we can help them in coming out of this situation, because at the end of the day, I don't think a mature country like Turkey wishes to be a sponsor of a terrorist country like Pakistan. And I think we would be able to prevail through our diplomatic and other initiatives.
Right, absolutely. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the broadcast, sharing your perspectives with our viewers. We're going to leave it there and shoot our focus.